Hi, Rob Fleming here, and I hope you're all well. Nice to see you. Today I want to talk a little bit again about the situation regarding ROGD, young transition, and prescription of medicaments and HRT to minors. So before we get into the actual video, please remember to like and share. Please remember to use, just let me do my collar. Please remember to click on the links for our various funding resources like Patreon, GoFundMe, Buy Me a Coffee at Ko-fi. Please sub something, just a little bit. You don't have to give much, but if you're interested in what I'm talking about, then I think that it's worth something. It's worth you putting your hand in your pocket for something. Just the price of a pint, that's all I ask. So, 1, 2, 3. Now, I began getting worried about what was happening quite a long time ago now. I think it was around about 2014, and I was getting feedback on the various places that I circulate, or circulated then, that there was a serious uptick in the number of young females attending, at that time, Britain's only NHS clinic, I believe, that dealt with people of that age, the Portman, and at that time it was the Portman and Tavistock. And this was really going up. The numbers were increasing rapidly, such that by 2017, I believe, they had actually increased by 4,000% over the previous 8 years. And I remember I did articles on this on my website, and I did a video on this, which I will try to link to. Now, I have always been concerned about this, and the whole story that occurred last year and into this year of Kira Bell, in which the court took draconian measures, some of which have been reversed, thankfully, are even more concerning. Now, it's not that I'm concerned about Kira Bell taking the Portman to court. Fair enough, she thought she was badly done by. But you have to remember that she insisted, and I know what these people are like, they insist that they must have the therapy. It's like, I must have this, I must have this. If you don't give me this, I will kill myself. They're really intense. And what really do you expect therapists to do? They're there to help. And if they're confronted by a young person just absolutely insisting in hysterics that she must have these drugs, these puberty blockers and testosterone, and she will not take no for an answer, then what do you do? What do you do? Well, most concerned people would eventually go, well, okay, we'll give you them. And that's what happened. And Kira Bell had her body totally ruined. Totally ruined. It may not bother her now, but she will always have great difficulty, passing as a normal woman now. Do I condemn her? No, I don't. But I do concern myself now about what's happened for many other people. You have to remember that within the UK particularly, there's a terrible, terrible gender critical movement who are really, really aggressive. The number of genuine pre-transsexuals, that's it, who will become HSTS, is actually very small. Even in a place like this, to be honest with you, it's pretty small. There's a lot more people who in the West would become perhaps gay men, here would be trans women, but there's no advantage to being a gay man, particularly in this culture. I mean, you're seen as being exactly the same as a trans woman. A gay man is a woman in the culture. There's no advantage. So why not just be a woman and get it over with? Just do that and be happy, which is what they do. In Britain, of course, because the West is so transphobic, they're constantly pushing people, pushing. No, don't be trans. Whatever you do, don't be trans. Don't be feminine. Be a man. You can be a gay man, but be a man. You can't be a masculine gay man. That's just impossible. It's just it's like your logic circuits burn out as soon as you get into that. It can't be. So you're asking people basically to deny themselves because it suits you for them to deny themselves. Now to get back to the problem. Supplying HRT, I discussed this last week, to young females involves giving them first puberty blockers and then testosterone. Now, testosterone is a poison to the female body. It will destroy it. It will give the girl an Adam's apple. She'll get a deep voice. She'll be hirsute and grow a beard, hair on her back, that sort of thing. His back by that stage, I guess. And that's not even starting with the surgical procedures, which are things like double mastectomies, hysterectomies, you name it. And if they're going for penile construction of a fake penis, then that involves taking a huge piece of skin from the leg, which will leave a permanent and large scar and great discomfort, to create this thing that isn't really a penis at all, Compare that to the situation with persons born male. The fact is that it doesn't really affect them that much. We know that those men considered the most handsome, because there have been studies on this, are actually somewhat feminine in their look. And if you take any of the great male leads, most of them have a slightly feminine look to them. I mean, even somebody like Jason Statham, very masculine guy, but around his eyes, he's got, there's slightly femininity about him, which, of course, the reason is it makes him less threatening. Some of these guys, being a real baddie, you want to be threatening, but if you want to be a hero and capture the women's hearts, then you need to actually moderate that a little bit. So what you're going to do is you're going to give a kid, a male, things that will actually make him more attractive in the long term, if he actually does decide to desist in later life, which most don't. Let's be honest, most don't. The numbers on desistance are extremely dubious, and I have studied the papers, and no, I wouldn't trust the damn things at all. The methodologies are really poor, and the conclusions they come to are questionable. Having said that, yeah, if you have a boy child who is gender non-conforming, as they say, it's actually sex non-conforming, but never mind, at a young age, well, the chances are he will grow out of it, because he's role-playing. That's all he's doing. He's exploring what it might be like to be a girl, and he'll go through that for a little while and then go, nah, that's not me, and move on to something else. So parents, please do not worry about this. The DSM for childhood gender dysphoria requires that it have been present for 6 months in order for a diagnosis of childhood gender dysphoria to be arrived at. Personally, I think that's far too short. I would say 18 months to 2 years. If they're still doing it after 2 years, you've got a case. You just do. And if they're continually, insistent, persistent, consistent, yeah. But this is a very small number of people, and they're actually very easy to identify. This is not difficult. We can find them out very easily. So my concern here is that the court in Britain, the High Court, which decided in favour of Keira Bell, which was reasonable, actually added some other judgments to that, in which they basically said absolutely no hormonal treatment and certainly no surgery for anyone under the age of 18. Now, the surgery I agree with. That's just not on. You should not be having surgery unless you're certainly into your 20s, in my view. Shouldn't be happening. But for boys, it's really important, those born male, those assigned male at birth, it's really important that they actually stop the process of masculinization as early as they reasonably can. And that has been taken for many, many years. To be around about the age of 13, give or take a year, because people don't always enter the puberty at the same stage. And one thing we know, for example, black people with an African heritage, men tend to begin puberty about a year earlier than white Europeans. So there's no standard like one age you can say, but the standard approach has been at about 13. We'll take a view on this, and if we're still looking at what looks very much like pre-transsexual child who's got childhood gender dysphoria and it's not going away, then at that stage we'll talk about blockers, and then when he's 16 we will look at giving him actual feminizing hormones, which would basically be estrogen. And don't listen to the GCs. The GCs are lying. They're lying because they want to stop all of this. even where it helps people. They refuse to recognize that people can be helped by this kind of intervention. They don't want that to be, something that people know about. They want to suppress that information. They don't want you to know that, yeah, there are actually, sexual inverts, male and female, males who would actually be better off living as women. They don't want you to know that, because they're so, some of it's out of a weird religious conservatism. Sometimes it's feminism, because they have this bizarre notion that they have some sort of territorial claim on the concept of woman. A whole load of other things. All of it completely disregards the interests of the individual. And I'm for the individual. I'm a libertarian and I'm an individualist. I think individuality is really important, and protecting the individual is the point at which you start to protect the society. If you protect an individual's rights, everything else follows. When you suppress individuals' rights, you very quickly end up in a totalitarian state. And that is the way we are going. Let's be quite clear. Not entirely due to this, but for a number of reasons. The free world we once lived and loved in is really very much in danger. Anyway, I'm going to stop there for just now, because I'm rambling a bit, and I like to ramble, you know that. Please hit the subscribe button, please hit the share button. It's quite easy to do, it's just down there, just press share, and you can send it on your social media. If you can, please spare something, we really appreciate it. Bye for now, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.